This is CBS News New York.
A violent start to the new year. Breaking news this morning. 10 people shot outside a Queens event center. Now police are searching for multiple suspects. They say fired more than 30 rounds into a crowd overnight. We're live at the scene.
And a man purposefully drives into a crowd of revelers, killing 15, injuring nearly 40 others in New Orleans' French Quarter. The evidence that has the FBI considering the horrific incident as an act of terrorism.
Dramatic video showing a Tesla Cyberturck exploding at a Las Vegas Trump hotel. The fireworks rocking the Strip, killing 1 and injuring 7. The precautions being taken at other Trump properties, including in Manhattan.
Good morning, everybody. On this Thursday, January 2nd, I'm Doug Williams, in for Chris Raggi.
And I'm Mary Calvi. Welcome to CBS News New York. And let's get straight to Tony Siddiqui, who has our first alert forecast from their virtual studio at 5 o'clock. Hey, Tony.
Hey, good morning there, Mary and Doug. So yeah, second day of the year, and now we're really starting to settle into a pattern change. When you look at the temperature change compared to this time yesterday, this is the beginning. This is the beginning, where numbers have dropped anywhere from 6, 7 to 10 degrees, a handful of degrees cooler than it was yesterday. But the winds are certainly a factor. Let me show you the air temperatures. This is what you're dressing for as you step out the door this morning. You got air temperatures that are, in some spots, near about 40 degrees in the city. But many of you are in the 30s. Talking about you in places like Beacon, New Canaan. Right now it's 38 degrees. Oyster Bay, you're not that far away too. Places like Mount Olive, mid-30s. So, if this is one of those things where you made New Year's resolutions to go out and do some morning exercise and get out there and, get out on a morning jog or, bike ride this morning, just kind of keep in mind that the air does feel chilly, not to mention you're contending with a bit of a breeze too. Wind gusts 20 to 30 miles per hour. That's strong enough to where you really got to be careful on the roads too, and really try to stay in your lane best you can. Winds, of course, have made the air temperature feel a lot colder. Feels more like below freezing in parts of the area, and it's windy enough that we're dragging in some snow showers in parts of the area too. Not a lot, but a flake or a flurry of possibilities to get the day started. Most of the day going to be just a-okay. Mix of sun and clouds, 42. But feels like the 30s. We'll talk much more about the wind concerns, how long we'll hang on to wind advisories in a moment. But first, I want to see how things are going on the roads and check in with traffic reporter Anique Evans with the latest. Morning, Anique.
Good morning, Tony. Let's start off with a stalled tractor trailer on the New Jersey Turnpike Express lanes. This is northbound, just north of exit 69 and Teaneck. The right lane is closed on the express lanes, and we are seeing some volume building, so you want to stick to the local lanes instead. Over in Queens, we have a vehicle fire on the Belt Parkway eastbound as you get to Springfield Boulevard. That's exit 22. 2 right lanes are closed with that. Alternate side parking is in effect today citywide. Doug and Mary, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Anique, thank you. Now to breaking news this morning. A night out in Queens turns violent after a mass shooting in Jamaica.
Police say 10 people, all teenagers, were hurt when several suspects opened fire outside a venue. Christina Fan joins us live from the scene. Very latest on this investigation. Christina.
Mary and Doug, good morning. Police are still searching for multiple male suspects at this hour who they say fired upon a crowd of about 15 people who were standing outside an event space located right down this block. Police say it all unfolded just after 11:15 p.m. on New Year's Day outside the Amazura Concert Hall on 144th Place. There were so many victims, the street was crowded with ambulances waiting to rush them all to hospitals. According to police, about 90 people were inside at an upstairs private event space, and the venue was at capacity, so a line of about 15 people were waiting outside. Police say that's when 4 men walking down 91st Avenue approached the crowd and fired about 30 rounds. They then ran towards 143rd Place, where they got into a light-colored sedan with out-of-state license plates.
Officers responding to the multiple 911 calls found a total of 10 victims. 6 females, 4 males, which were taken to area hospitals. All of the victims are expected to recover with non-life-threatening injuries.
The 10 victims range in age from 16 to 19 years old. In this video, you can see more than a dozen evidence markers on the ground as police continue to gather ballistics. Police say the public have been instrumental in recent weeks, helping them solve several high-profile crimes. They hope the public will once again be able to help them catch the suspects in this case who again left 10 people injured. Fortunately, all of them will recover with non-life-threatening injuries. Reporting live from Jamaica, Queens, Christina Fan, CBS News, New York.
Christina, thank you. And stay with CBS News New York for the latest on this breaking news. We also have Alan Devlin covering the story from Jamaica Hospital. We will hear from him coming up.
The FBI says the man who drove a pickup truck into a crowd in New Orleans was a U.S. Army veteran from Texas who may have been inspired by ISIS.
The attack left at least 15 dead and dozens injured and is being investigated as an act of terrorism. Nicole Valdez is live in New Orleans with what we know so far. Nicole.
Mary Doug, good morning to you. It's quiet on Bourbon Street right now. A much different environment than the usually packed Bourbon and French Quarter area. Thousands of people were just here celebrating the start of the new year. Now, sadly, this is a place where so many remember the carnage of the attack that killed those 15 and hurt about 40 others. Federal investigators are calling this attack deliberate, thought out, and are investigating it as an act of terror.
We have dozens of people that got hit by this car.
Frantic messages from first responders in New Orleans just moments after a man drove his truck through crowds celebrating the new year on the city's famed Bourbon Street.
Like you just heard this squeal and like the rev of an engine and then this huge loud impact and then the people screaming.
The FBI has identified the attacker as 42-year-old Army veteran Shamsuddin Jabbar, a U.S. citizen who lived in Texas. Agents say after he rammed the crowd, the suspect exited what appeared to be a rented Ford truck and fired at police. He was killed in the gunfight. 2 officers were wounded.
We are working with our partners to investigate this as an act of terrorism. We do not believe that Jabbar was solely responsible. We are aggressively running down every lead.
The FBI says they found an ISIS flag on the suspect's vehicle and possible improvised explosive devices there and in the city's French Quarter.
Mere hours before the attack, he posted videos on social media indicating that he was inspired by ISIS, expressing a desire to kill.
These are just some of the victims who died in the attack, including 28-year-old former Princeton University football star Tiger Besh.
He was a stand-up guy that we really respected and honored.
Later today, the Sugar Bowl is set to kick off at the nearby Superdome after it was postponed due to yesterday's horrific attack.
There are still several avenues to explore as federal investigators work to nail down Jabbar's motivation, including the source of several IEDs, explosives found throughout the French Quarter, a fire that started at a nearby Airbnb the attacker was said to have rented, and just how many other people were involved in planning this horrifying attack. Guys.
Nicole Valdez live for us this morning from New Orleans. Nicole, thank you. Meanwhile, back at home, the NYPD is on high alert after the attack in New Orleans. Mayor Eric Adams says beefed up security is now in place at potential targets, and sources tell us Trump Tower is one of those locations. As was the case with the New Year's Eve celebration in Times Square, the NYPD says it continues to operate in what it calls a heightened threat environment.
New York is always an attractive target. Today we deployed police personnel to the right locations, and we're going to continue to remain vigilant as people move about their daily lives here.
Right now, Mayor Adams says there is no credible threat to New York City, but NYPD officials say they've been operating in that heightened threat environment since the October 7th attacks in 2023 in Israel.
5:08 right now, investigators trying to figure out if there's any link between the New Orleans attack and a Cybertruck explosion outside a Trump hotel in Las Vegas. Last night, officials said that fireworks, mortars, and camp fuel canisters were inside the Tesla truck. The person inside died. 7 people nearby had minor injuries. Investigators know who rented the truck on an app called Turo and are working to find out if that is the person killed in the vehicle. Local and federal officials are investigating whether this was an act of terrorism.
We believe this is an isolated incident. We do not believe that there's a bunch of folks out there supporting this or helping this, and we don't believe that there's any other danger to the community right now.
In our next half hour, we'll hear more from investigators on this case. And stay with CBS News New York as we continue to follow all of the new developments in the New Orleans attack and the Cybertruck fire. You can find those updates anytime on CBSNewYork.com.
A motion hearing is set for Friday in New Jersey's lawsuit against congestion pricing that could impact its planned Sunday start date. Attorneys for the state of New Jersey have asked for clarification after a federal judge issued an opinion on Monday granting some motions but denying some others. Despite the legal battle, the MTA said the toll plan will begin this Sunday as planned. The hearing is scheduled for Friday at 3 p.m.
5:10 and now let's turn things over to Tony.
Yeah, Mary, and one of the big stories today is the wind element. We were talking about this yesterday, and you probably felt it yesterday, too. So we still have wind advisories in place. They went into effect yesterday afternoon, and we got them in effect until 10 o'clock tonight. Why? Gusts 40 to 50. That's enough to cause some issues, cause some minor damage, and maybe lead to some isolated power outages. It's also going to really drive in the big chill. That's why today is going to feel a lot colder than it did yesterday. Numbers in the 30s. We may manage under a mix of sun and clouds to get to about the low 40s this afternoon. It's more of a seasonal feel. But of course, the wind's certainly a player in what it feels like. We'll take a closer look at that part of the forecast and those wind chills into the weekend, too. It's going to be more of a January feel in the coming days, too. All that's in a moment, but first, I want to check back in with Anique Evans. How's it looking out there?
Good morning, Tony. Well, it's not looking good in Teaneck. We have a stalled tractor trailer on the New Jersey Turnpike express lanes approaching exit 71. The right lane of the express lanes is closed, and we are seeing that slow down as you're heading to the George Washington Bridge. You might want to take the Lincoln or Holland Tunnel instead. Over in Queens, we're still dealing with a vehicle fire on the Belt Parkway eastbound just past Springfield Boulevard. 2 right lanes are closed with that, and we are seeing some delays building in the area. Alternate side parking is in effect today citywide. Mary and Doug, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Anique, thank you. And coming up for us, this search continues for 2 suspects involved in a Bronx convenience store shooting, how a mother and her daughter are recovering this morning after being shot during the chaotic incident.
And the U.S. debt ceiling now formally reinstated, the impact this could have on future government spending.